So it looks like the entire Kameo roster for Mortal Kombat 1 has already been discovered, or at least most of them, according to the creator of the game himself, Ed Boon. That's right, we have confirmation from the creator of Mortal Kombat himself that the Kameo fighters are pretty much figured out. And of all places, it happened on Twitter. And the absolute Giga Chad responsible for this prediction is named Uncanny Carlos. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the image up on screen. Boom, there it is. And yes, this is photoshopped. Nobody broke into NetherRealm HQ and took a photo of the entire roster. That's not what happened here. It's just a prediction using Photoshop. However, once again, it's been confirmed by Ed Boon himself. He retweeted and said this: Carlos, it is uncanny how many of these you got right. Oh, so when I predict what the roster is gonna be, I'm a clickbaiter, but when this guy does it, he gets retweeted by Ed Boon. I see how it is, man. It really do be that way sometimes. But without any further ado, let's have a look at this image and try to guess which cameos are correct and which ones are not correct. Or in other words, which characters are actually going to return for Mortal Kombat 1. Now, of course, a lot of these characters have already been confirmed as cameo fighters. So for example, we have Sonya Blade, Jax, and Kano. I was actually lucky enough to play with all three of them at an early hands-on event in Los Angeles, California. So I can say for a fact that these characters are cameo fighters, and then on top of that, they're also in the trailer. And speaking of the trailer, we also saw Kung Lao, Stryker, and Goro, and Classic Sub-Zero as cameo fighters. And even though we didn't see gameplay of Classic Scorpion, Ed Boon himself did confirm afterwards that yes, you can play as Scorpion and Scorpion, which of course means that Scorpion has a cameo fighter as well. And I believe so far that's the only handful of characters that have been confirmed as cameo players and also featured in the trailers. So now it's time to go in the trenches and use our Mortal Kombat knowledge and prediction powers to figure out once and for all which characters will be cameos in Mortal Kombat 1. Let's start from left to right, top row first, then bottom row, because that's just the easiest way to do it. First up, we have Chameleon. I love this character, and it would have been awesome if she was a fully playable character, but let's be honest, if this character comes back, she's gonna be a cameo character. And on Twitter, multiple times, Ed Boon has been referencing this character and just name dropping her out of nowhere, so yes, Chameleon is coming back. And next up, we have a character that you might not recognize because they've never been playable, but this is the Dark Priest. If you recall in Mortal Kombat 11, Shao Kahn can actually summon him, and it gives him a damage buff and also a crushing blow to one of his hammer attacks, so really cool. And then on top of that, the Dark Priests are often in the background of many stages, especially in the classic games, but also in Mortal Kombat 9. However, when it comes to being a cameo character, the Dark Priest doesn't have very good odds. However, there is a small sliver of hope because Ed Boon said in an interview that some of the cameo characters will be Mortal Kombat characters who were never playable before, which is really cool and has me extremely excited. I'm hoping for Serena's sisters to be playable, and not just because they're sexy, mostly because they're sexy, but also because they're half demon warriors from the Netherrealm, so that sounds super cool. Actually, I think they're full demon, they just look human because, you know, budgets. So yeah, my point is, the creator of Mortal Kombat himself said that some of the cameo characters will be characters who were never playable before, which means the Dark Priest has a chance. I don't think it's very likely, and I'm gonna go ahead and guess right now, money on the table, he's not going to be a cameo fighter, but hey, anything could happen. And then we have Moloch. Oh my gosh, please put Moloch in the game as a cameo fighter. It's the only way he's gonna come back. He would never actually be a returning boss character. The odds just aren't in his favor, and then as a fully playable character, yeah, there's no chance. His odds get even lower, minuscule. However, as a cameo character, I think it could happen, although keep in mind he would be scaled down just like Goro was. If you rewatch the Mortal Kombat 1 gameplay trailer, Goro has been shrunken down, which means if Moloch did return, he would be smaller as well. But I'm okay with it. I want him to come back, and if he does come back, I'm hoping one of his assist attacks will be buffing the player by howling, because for anyone not aware, he had like 4 special moves that were all just him howling in Armageddon, which was not very useful during gameplay, but maybe as a cameo assist character, it could be way more viable and just a fun reference in general. Next up, we have Su Hao. Yes, I think Su Hao is coming back. In fact, he's actually on a poster in the tea shop. That's right, one of the stages in Mortal Kombat 1 straight up has Su Hao in the background, so I do think he's coming back, which is awesome. I love the redemption arc for Su Hao, his comeback story. He went from being the most hated character to oddly beloved by the community. And the fact that he's very likely to be a cameo fighter just warms my heart in a very strange way. Next up, we're skipping these 4 characters because it's time to talk about Shinnok. Shinnok has a pretty good chance of coming back as a cameo fighter. I think he would fit extremely well, but I would say it's 50-50. And I think the main reason I feel that way is because Shang Tsung is going to be in the game as a pre-order bonus, and his attacks are very similar to Shinnok's attacks, especially in Mortal Kombat X, so I'm not sure what Shinnok could bring to the table when everyone else is kind of already doing his moves. You know what I'm saying? But then we have Shao Kahn. This would be interesting. I think players would obviously love Shao Kahn to be in the game in any shape or form, so if NetherRealm's plans are to appease the audience as much as possible, then Shao Kahn has a really strong chance. However, that said, how bizarre will it be for Shao Kahn to be in the game, but not a central character, not a playable character? I don't know, it just seems kind of odd to me, and a bit unlikely, but at the same time, he's so popular, man, I'm conflicted on this one. I'm gonna say, yeah, he'll be a cameo fighter, and I really hope that one of his assists is a taunt. Just have him insult the opponent and nerf their damage. Mavado. Yeah, I say Mavado's coming back. I think it just makes sense. He's obscure, he's a 3D era character, and I think NetherRealm's main goal with the cameo characters is to bring back some of the beloved characters from the 3D era that aren't quite worthy of being fully playable, but still have enough fan popularity to warrant being in the game. That's the main idea with cameo fighters, I feel like. So yeah, I think Mavado has a pretty good chance of being in. Trimmer, yes, Trimmer's gonna be in the game. We already know that because Ed Boon said so multiple times. Not during interviews or anything, but on Twitter, I've actually made a full video about all the characters that Ed Boon has strongly implied will be in the game, and when it comes to Trimmer, he's been confirmed multiple times by Ed Boon. He said very high chances of being in the game, which means that Trimmer is either going to be a cameo fighter or he's just going to be a fully playable character. Unfortunately, I don't see NetherRealm making him fully playable again. I think he's going to be a cameo. Next up, we have Motaro, and oh man, this would be so interesting. NetherRealm has said multiple times they can't make Motaro a fully playable character, mainly because they rely on motion capture as the starting point of their animations, and they can't motion capture a horse. Or honestly, maybe they could, but they don't feel like doing that. They want to use people, right? Because people are easier to control and direct. So that's sadly why Motaro is never going to come back as a playable character or even a boss character. However, as a cameo character, it's very likely. And once again, Ed Boon did say during that interview that some of the cameo characters are going to be characters that were never playable in their games. And he could have meant NetherRealm games, and the only boss who's never been playable is Motaro. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I think that Motaro will be a playable cameo. Next up, we have Draman. He's been confirmed already on Twitter by Ed Boon. Yes, he's going to be a cameo fighter. Here's the tweet on screen. Ed Boon himself said that Draman is not likely to return as a fully playable character, which obviously implies that he's a cameo fighter. And fun fact, he tweeted this before cameos were even announced as a thing. Striker's been confirmed, we can skip him. Devora, yes, I hope Devora is a cameo fighter, mainly because I don't want her to be on the roster anymore. Not because I hate Devora, honestly, I've gone on record that I think she's very fun to play, and if you watch my channel, I play her really well in both MKX and MK11. I thought she was fun and I mastered her. However, all that being said, the reason I don't want her to return is because NetherRealm always uses her to kill off prominent characters, and I'm just a bit tired of that. I want a different villain to claim some scalps. It's time for somebody else to start killing off the main characters, alright? It can't just always be Devora. Oh boy, Noob Saibot, here's where things get interesting. For anyone not aware, the Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat 1 is confirmed to be Bi-Han. That's right, the older brother Sub-Zero. Kuai Liang is either not born at all or simply not the Sub-Zero you play as, and honestly, I think it's about time. Bi-Han has not been playable for so long. However, the reason I bring that up is because Noob Saibot is Bi-Han, right? The original Sub-Zero dies and comes back as a Wraith, I believe. Noob Saibot can't be a fully playable character because Bi-Han is not dead in this new timeline. And as a result, if we do get Noob Saibot, it's going to be as a cameo fighter, and honestly, they'd be crazy not to include him, so yeah, I think he's coming back as a cameo fighter. Bo Rai Cho, yep, he's coming back. I hate to admit it, but there's been so many hints and teases by Ed Boon himself that Bo Rai Cho is coming back, and as a result, you know he's gonna be a cameo fighter, because as a main roster character, it just doesn't seem like a great decision. Mocap, okay, that would be an interesting one. I think Mocap is perfect as a cameo fighter, because Ed Boon stated that the cameo fighters are perfect for people who would otherwise not be in the story, and since Mocap Mocap is a literal joke character, he would be perfect as a cameo fighter. Even if he doesn't fit in the current timeline, it doesn't matter. He still gets to be a cameo character. So Mocap, I think a strong possibility of being a cameo character, but I'm not confirmed on it. Cassie Cage, interesting choice by Carlos here, but I understand his thinking. Out of all the Kombat kids, Cassie Cage is the most mainstream, right? She's the fan favorite. She's not the most beloved by hardcore fans. That title goes to Takeda for sure. He is absolutely the #1 among die-hard veteran Kombat players, but when it comes to the normies, I think Cassie Cage is the most popular, and she's not going to return on the main roster. Ed Boon actually confirmed this in an interview. None of the Kombat kids are going to be on the main roster because they're not in the story mode, and that's because they're not born yet. I'm not sure if you noticed, but all the characters in MK1 look very young, even Shang Tsung, and I think that's why Carlos put her as a cameo character. She's very popular, and if she does return, it's only possible as a cameo character because she's not born yet. And then finally, we have Farah. Interesting choice. For anyone not aware, at the end of Farah Tor's arcade ladder, he dies, and then Farah grows up and becomes like the new Tor. Because apparently that's what happens when her species hits puberty. You just start growing all at once, and then they put a tiny kid on your back and they ride around on you. The real question is Farah going to be fully grown, or is she going to be tiny and you can like toss her at the opponent, or she'll flip through the air like a little saw blade? Honestly, I kind of hope she's tiny. That would be adorable, but lore-wise, it would be a cool reference if it was Big Farah, because that would be a shout out to the fans who know the ending of her character. No matter what the case may be, I'm very excited about the cameo fighters, and I'm also very excited you watched the entire video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. It really helps my channel out a ton. And then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell, that way you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.